Hello and welcome back to the Creator's Angle. I'm your host, Big Phil. I want you to picture a shot from your favorite movie. The camera is gliding effortlessly through a forest, following the hero. It's floating down a city street, pushing towards a dramatic reveal. The movement is so fluid, so perfect. It feels like you're flying. It pulls you into the story. Now, I want you to picture the video you've made when you first started. If you were anything like me, they were probably a shaky mess. I remember when I decided to get serious about videography. I applied for a job shooting real estate. I did a test shot with my camera, handheld. I thought the in-body stabilization would be enough. I was wrong. The amount of shake was completely unprofessional. It was a reality check. I had to swallow my pride and borrow a gimbal from a friend just to get the job done. That was the moment I knew to level up, to create truly cinematic video, I had to master the art of stability. Today we're diving deep into the world of 3-axis gimbals. We're going to demystify them, from the dreaded balancing act to the cinematic moves that will transform your work. So, why isn't the stabilization inside your camera enough? Modern cameras have IBIS, in-body image stabilization, to be more specific. It's a marvel of technology where the camera sensor physically moves to counteract tiny shakes and jitters. For photos and for certain types of vlogging where you want a bit of that raw, intentional movement, IBIS is fantastic. But it has limits. It can't smooth out the large movements of your body, like walking or turning. That's where a 3-axis gimbal comes in. It's an external device that physically isolates your camera from your body on 3 axes: tilt, pan, and roll. It uses motors and sensors to keep the camera perfectly level and steady, no matter how you move. For those battery-smooth tracking shots, pans and push-ins, a gimbal is an absolute necessity. My journey started with a borrowed Xeon Crane 2. It was a great learning tool, but I quickly found its limits. It struggled to hold my heavier setups, especially with a wide lens like a 12-24 G Master lens from Sony. Around that time, rumors were swirling that DJI was about to release something new, something groundbreaking. So I decided to wait. And on an announcement day, I ordered a DJI RS3 Pro. And that was over 3 years ago now. Why the RS3 Pro? Well, I needed confidence. I needed to know that no matter what camera and lens combination I used, the gimbal could handle it. The payload or the maximum weight it can carry was my #1 priority. But there were other features that sold me. The Raven Eye image transmission system is a game changer, allowing me to see the camera's image on my phone and use incredible features like subject tracking. The built-in screen means I can change settings on the fly without fiddling with an app. And the automatic locking access made setup and transport a breeze. For me, the established DJI Ronin ecosystem was where my creative focus was. Now, let's talk about the one thing that intimidates every new gimbal user: the balancing act. I've heard horror stories, but I have to be honest. If you're patient, it's not that bad. The video tutorials from DJI are fantastic and I highly recommend watching them. The key is that there's a specific sequence you must follow. You can't just guess. It's a step-by-step process from top to bottom, and let me walk you through it. Think of it in 3 parts for the 3 main axes. First, the tilt axis. This is the up and down movement. With the gimbal off and all axes unlocked, you point your camera straight up to the ceiling. Does it stay there or does it flop down? If it flops, you need to slide the camera plate on the gimbal arm backwards or forwards until it's perfectly balanced and stays put, pointing at the sky or the ceiling. Second, the roll axis. This is the side-to-side rocking movement. You hold the gimbal handle sideways, so the arm is parallel to the ground. Does the camera flop on the side? If it does, you need to adjust the roll arm, sliding it left or right until the camera stays perfectly level. And finally, pan axis. This is the left to right turning movement. You hold the gimbal at the 45-degree angle and see if the whole assembly swings to one side. If it does, you adjust the pan arm, sliding it towards or backwards until it holds its position. Getting this perfect is crucial. It means that the gimbal's motors don't have to work as hard, which saves battery life and protects them from strain. My advice is to practice balancing multiple times at home before you ever go out on a shoot. Okay, let's pause for a second. We've just gone through the most technical part. If you're finding this breakdown helpful, and you're maybe having that aha moment about balancing, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe or follow button on your podcast app right now. It takes 1 second, it's free, and it ensures you won't miss the rest of this episode or any future ones. Alright, awesome. Let's get back to it. So, your gimbal is balanced. Now, the fun begins. The first thing to practice is the walk. You can't just walk normally. You have to learn the famous ninja walk. Knees bent, moving slowly, smoothly from heel to toe, absorbing the impact with your legs so your body doesn't bob up and down. Once I got that down, I started practicing simple moves like push-ins, where you walk towards the subject, and pull-outs, where you walk away. Then I moved to pan-follow shots. But the real creativity unlocks with the advanced features. On the RS3 Pro, you can switch to FPV mode, where the camera will follow your every roll and tilt, creating a really dynamic first-person view. You can even do a full 360-degree barrel roll. But my absolute favorite feature, thanks to the image transmitter, is ActiveTrack. You draw a box around the subject on your phone screen, and the gimbal will physically move the camera to follow it. This is incredible for filming automotive content. I can log onto a specific part of the car, and the gimbal keeps it perfectly centered, which makes effects like speed ramping in post-production so much more precise. I also love using it for walk-around videos, as it allows me to keep a person perfectly in the center of the frame without me having to touch the joystick. It's an amazing and underrated feature. How has this all impacted my work? Mastering the gimbal has fundamentally upscaled my production value. My videos are more cinematic, more professional, and I can charge more for them. It also saves me a ton of time in post-production. I no longer have to rely on software stabilization. The software stabilization works by cropping your footage and wrapping the image, which means you lose resolution and quality. Not always, but very often. By getting a smooth shot in the camera with a gimbal, I preserve 100% of my image quality. Now, the biggest mistake I see new users make is believing the gimbal is a magic button. They don't practice the walk, and their footage still has that up and down bobbing. The other mistake is getting so focused on the technology that they forget what's most important: the story. You still need a plan, a shot list, and a vision. The gimbal is just a tool to help you to tell that story more effectively. I want to quickly mention accessories. Adding a second battery grip allows to record for longer. Side handle as a two-handed setup makes a world of a difference. It gives you more stability, reduces fatigue, and makes it much easier to get smooth, low-angle shots. And yes, DJI has released a newer RS4 Pro. But for most people who own an RS3 Pro like I am, the upgrade is not essential. The RS3 Pro is still an absolute powerhouse. So, if you just unbox your new gimbal and you're feeling overwhelmed, here's my number one piece of advice. Take a deep breath, unbox it, assemble it, and watch the official manual videos. Then balance it, and then practice, 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 practice. Practice walking around your house, practice tracking objects, practice balancing it over and over until it becomes a second nature. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. It's a learning process. And the more you practice, the better you will get and the more you will stand out from the crowd. I truly hope this gimbal masterclass has been helpful and maybe demystified some of the processes for you. All the gear I've talked about, including my RS3 Pro and some great accessories, is linked in the show notes. Using those affiliate links is a brilliant and no-cost way to support the creator's angle. I would love to hear from you on this one. If you enjoy this deep dive, please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. It will also be a massive help if you could leave a comment or a rating on your podcast platform. On Spotify, you can even take part in the episode poll, which is a great way to share your thoughts. Your feedback helps this community grow. Next week on The Creator's Angle, we are heading back to the sky, where we will discuss a new addition to the DJI drone lineup. You won't want to miss it. Until then, keep creating and keep it smooth.